first installment of our Scottish podcast. My name is Bridget Johnston.
And I'm Adam Weatherford.
And we are Purdue students studying professional writing abroad in Scotland at the University of Dundee. Our topic for today, we are hoping to discuss with you our flight paths and travels to actually getting to Scotland from Indiana.
Because I think we had two of the more unusual routes. Like the grad students all seem to have better planning.
Oh, that's definitely true. Especially you. You had a pretty crazy flight plan. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Well, I was majorly restricted by budget, so I went with the cheapest flight, which had me stopping at 3 major airports. Or 4 because I had to start from O'Hare. So I took a train to downtown Chicago, then a train to O'Hare, and then flew from O'Hare to Detroit, and then flew from Detroit to Schiphol in Amsterdam. And then I took a little express plane from Amsterdam to Edinburgh, and then a little shuttle bus from Edinburgh to Dundee. That was the plan. I'm not a good flyer.
Is this your first time ever flying?
No, my first time flying internationally. I've flown from South Bend to Vegas, and my dad picks me up in Vegas, and I visit him in California.
Okay. Was it your first time traveling by yourself?
No. I've done this before, but that's from South Bend to Vegas. Mm-hmm. And South Bend, as Ariel said in class, is barely an airport.
Yeah, well, it seems like South Bend to Vegas would be a pretty direct route, not as confusing as the multiple airports and transport methods that you had to take.
Yeah, I was worried about Schiphol because I thought everything would be in Dutch, and I thought I had to navigate a sea of umlauts and consonants. But everything was surprisingly in English. You had to look for Dutch. Did
you ever feel overwhelmed or worried about your traveling while you were traveling or before you were traveling?
Probably just the plane crashing, because I'm afraid of heights a lot, and every time the plane shook, I would swear or something.
I'm afraid of flying too. But I traveled with Ross and Kelly, 2 other students that are here in Dundee with me. And I went, the day before we flew out, I drove up to Fort Wayne and picked up Ross, and then I drove back to my house, which is outside of Cincinnati. So we had flown out of Columbus, and we flew on a little propeller plane, and I sat right next to the propeller, and it was just buzzing the whole time.
How little was this plane?
It was pretty small. There were probably about 30 people on it, and it was packed. Yeah, there wasn't much room, but we flew on the propeller plane. It was a very smooth flight and very nice, a quick flight, like an hour and a half. Then we landed in Newark, New Jersey, and we had a layover. And during the layover, we actually did a wine tasting to kind of calm ourselves down before the big flight. We got on the plane to go to London from Newark. It was all right. We were all just very packed in this 757, and Ross and Kelly were both snuggled up against me, and I was awake the whole time. I kind of wanted to punch them, but it's all good now.
Did you sit next to anybody else on your flights?
Just on my first flight with a propeller plane, I sat next to a businessman who had flown to Columbus that morning and then was flying out of Columbus back to Newark that night. Mm-hmm. But other than that, no, I just sat next to Ross and Kelly on the 7-hour flight. What about you?
I actually had some really interesting seatmates. I was worried about, the fat guy or the baby. I guess I was the fat guy, but an even fatter guy and a baby, but I got neither of those. The first flight, I was surrounded by these Filipino students all wearing, the same kind of blazer and stuff, and they're from a leadership program that the government of the Philippines runs with Christian ministries to teach leadership skills and management to orphans. Yeah, I just talked with the director of the program for about 15 minutes. It's kind of I didn't bother to say hi to her until we were about to land. Oh, that could have been an really, really interesting conversation.
We had some movies to select from, but I never really watched any movies. I just kind of sat there the whole time, which may have added to my frustration and impatience, because when we were about due south of Iceland, and there was about 3 hours left, I thought I was going to go insane. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. But anyway, we got over Ireland. We landed in London. Mm-hmm. We stayed overnight in London for 2 nights. We met up with one of my friends who works at the Expo. And then we took the train from London at the King's Cross station to Edinburgh. And right after we got off at Edinburgh, within 15 minutes, we were on a train to Dundee. We got here and got to the door.
Now, see, we were stranded at Edinburgh, me, Zach, and Aaron. We were stranded at the airport with Ashley. She joined later on. But the 3 of us were stranded there for 3 hours waiting for our shuttle bus. We all just sat around, and occasionally we'd walk off, and the other person would watch our luggage. The airports were interesting, the different airports.
I was only in, 3 airports. and all three very much had a different feel to them. They got more cosmopolitan as I went on. Columbus was just kind of small, dumpy airport. Newark was very nice, and then London Heathrow is just like the bomb. It's amazing.
And see, I was looking forward to O'Hare because it's O'Hare. It's the busiest airport in the world, but you can't really see a lot of O'Hare at once. It's like a spiderweb kind of tunnel. And then Schopel, Tammy Salvo, sent me an article about a rainforest kind of lounge they have over there with like trees and free Wi-Fi. It's like a paradise, okay? It's especially nice. Airport paradise. It's got outlets to plug into and Wi-Fi and chairs, comfy chairs. But it was on the other side of customs, so I couldn't see it. And Schopel's kind of like a giant Dutch mall.
So what did you do?
Didn't go because I didn't want to wait in line for an hour and then get rejected because what's the purpose of your visit? To see that, and then have to turn around and go back through security again.
It's interesting, like we talked about in class this morning, the different atmospheres created within the airports. Like I said, Newark, we did the wine tasting. It looked like a nice little Italian bistro, and really the only thing that was reminding you that you were in an airport was the fact that there was a runway right outside. And also in Newark, there was an Irish pub that was really dark. It looked like the inside of Nine Irish Brothers back in West Lafayette. It was pretty cool.
Now, see, between O'Hare and Schopel, which I expected to be awesome, there was Detroit, which I expected to be crappy. But the Detroit airport was the best of them, the most interesting.
Oh, really?
It's a straight line all the way across a terminal. And there's a tram running on the second story above you. It's a big open space. It looks like it's about a half mile long from end to end. I
had a layover in Detroit, a half-hour layover. I remember sprinting across that terminal. I'm vaguely familiar with it, but I only got to see it, about 30 minutes worth of it. All right, well, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. I'm Bridget Johnston.
I'm Adam Weatherford.
Coming to you from Scotland.